Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross and I was always told I had a voice for radio, but today we are going to be having a look at a game from round 5 of the Nottingham League Challenge, featuring Dutch national champion Benjamin Pham playing his Fighting Bats deck, we've already seen a couple of times, and Tamao playing his Rayquaza deck with Bunnelby, which is pretty gosh darn interesting if you ask me. Now, both these players have got their Worlds invites well and truly sewn up. Benjamin Pham, I believe, has made top 22 in Europe this year, which means he'll be getting a paid invite right the way to day 2. Tamao unfortunately fell just short of top 22, so we'll have to go through day 1, but still two exceptional players here. So I should do my very best to explain what they're doing and why they're doing it. Huge thank, as always, to Chimera Games for allowing me to record this game. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe and all that good stuff at the end. So enjoy the very last game from the 2015 Nottingham League Challenge. Not the last league challenge of this year, of course, but the last game from this particular league challenge. So on the left we have Tamao with his Rayquaza deck with a little bit of a tech Bunnelby in there, which we'll see hopefully more about as we go through. And as you see one in his hand right there. And on the right we have Benjamin Pham, who is the reigning Dutch national champion and is playing Fighting Bats. And we've seen these guys on stream already today. So, well, we've seen Benji. I don't know if we've seen Tamao actually, but we've seen Benji on the stream already. So, Tamao starts off, he doesn't have very much. Now, we saw Benji draw past turn 1. Turn 2, we saw Tamao just attach a DCE and pass. Now, we can see an N in Tamao's hand, but obviously Tamao knows that Benji has nothing, so there's absolutely no point Tamao spending a lot of time and effort playing an N and setting Benji up. So this is actually the 4th turn of the game. Benji's, and he does play the N here, but this turn it makes sense, because all Tamao needs, he's got the Mega Rayquaza. You notice on his first turn of the game, he attached a Mega Evolve. The Delta Evolution ancient trait that Rayquaza has allows him to evolve on the first turn of the game, and then he didn't put a Spirit Link down, but it didn't matter because it just ended his turn. Benji now has a 70 HP Golbat active, and if Tamao can just get 1 energy and 3 benched Pokemon, he can use Rayquaza's attack to do 30 damage times the amount of benched Pokemon, which means he needs to do 90. Now, it turns out here that Tamao has no prizes out, and he's played an N, so they need to call a judge over to see what's going to happen. Now, he is putting prizes out. It looks like Benji is just going to... This is a league challenge. They are two good friends, so it looks like Tamao's just going to put his prizes out and leave it. Now, Tamao here needs a basic energy. Now, you can see he plays a Battle Compressor there. I think I saw a Mega Turbo in his hand. This Battle Compressor is going to allow him to discard 3 cards from his deck, and he's going to get rid of his 2 Executes, and he's going to get rid of a Grass Energy, and this is actually going to set him up beautifully. Remember, he needs 3 bench Pokemon to do 90 damage, and the Executes go into his discard pile. He can then use a Propagation ability to put them into his hand, and then onto his bench. And I think I saw an Ultra Ball in his hand as well. So there goes a Skyfield. Bench is a shame, and I don't think he's actually got the Mega Turbo yet. So he needs an Energy or a Mega Turbo. And then he's already got 1 Pokemon on the bench. Now, he can use Ultra Ball to get a second Shaman out, and he doesn't even have to pay the cost. Spirit Nurse, he doesn't have the energy yet. But he can put down a Rayquaza and a Spirit Link. Now, what he could do is discard a bunch from his hand. Oh, he's got a Revive. There we go. So he actually revives him onto the bench, and then uses an Ultra Ball, using the other Execute, to essentially empty his hand so that he can use Shaman for the full 6 cards. If he draws just an energy here, he's going to have the KO and the win in the first game. Remember, he's also got an energy in the discard pile, so he doesn't just need an energy or a Mega Turbo will do it. And it doesn't look like he's actually got it yet. That is quite surprising, to be honest with you. He does, however, have an Ultra Ball, and you saw that he just got a Mega Rayquaza, which he evolved up there. So now it looks like he's going for another Shaman to draw even more cards. And it shows you the power of that Shaman EX. Remember, it's got that setup ability, which allows you to draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand. So Tamao here is just using Ultra Balls and Shaman to just draw more and more cards, puts a Spirit Link on the Shaman just to empty one less card, draws 5, and he's got the DCE for the win. So it took him a bit of time and effort to get there, but you saw very clever play from Tamao. Now, he did get away a little bit with not putting his prizes out, but given that no search had been done, he just played an N. The likelihood is that Benji would have got a prize penalty, but then Tamao would have won on the same turn. So I don't think that not putting the prizes down actually had any real effect on the game. I don't know. It could have been a game loss, I suppose, but it most likely, I believe, would have been a prize penalty. And it is, like I say, it's a league challenge. They're both friends. They've both made top 4 at this point. They're just essentially playing for seeding here. So, Tamao in that game, he played very, very well. The one thing that he did really nicely was not play the N on turn 1, but then play it on turn 2. Benji got very unlucky, had nothing, he drew past. Tamao on his turn, he just put a DCE down and passed. He knew that best case scenario, Benji gets a Horlucha out, and I mean, had he got the Golbat, he could have done 2 damage, then he could have got the Horlucha with Muscle Band, Strong Energy, Fighting Stadium. The absolute best case scenario for Benji there was 140 damage, which couldn't KO the 220 HP Mega Rayquaza. And that was the absolute best case scenario if he hit the Golbat, Horlucha, Strong Energy, Fighting Stadium, Muscle Band. Tamao, on the other hand, he let Benji do that. Benji just passed again with the Golbat, so all Tamao needed was 1 energy and 3 bench Pokemon to be able to get the KO, and that's what he did. So we see the mulligan from Benji there, which means Tamao's going to start with 1 extra card. I should at this point give a special thanks to Chimera Games, especially Andy Leach and Becca Manda, who are running the tournament and head judge and all of that, for allowing me to set up a camera and record this tournament. I very much appreciate that they allowed us to do this. It was very, very nice of them. Not only did they allow me to record, but they set me up a little table with a plug for me camera off to one side. And of course, thank you to Tamao and Benji for allowing to be recorded and allowing me to put this game up. I very much appreciate it, because they could have said no at the end of the day. So, we did see a very similar matchup when Benji played Luke on the stream earlier. And when Benji played Luke, essentially what we saw was on an end straight away from Benji. So again, he's got the same lone Zubat start and not very much. Now, we saw when Benji played Luke that this fighting bats deck can be good against Rayquaza. You've got Horlucha, who does 60 damage for 1 energy and goes through resistance. And then, like I mentioned a minute ago, you can use Strong Energy, Fighting Stadium, Muscle Band to add 20 damage each to that. And you can be hitting 120 for 1 energy. You've then got your Golbats, place 2 damage counters when you evolve, and your Crobats, place 3 damage counters when you evolve, and your Landorus, and you can start spreading energy around and really getting something going. But if your opponent gets a Mega Rayquaza going, you are in a lot of trouble, because it's got 220 HP, and it's hard to take down. 2-hit KO, you know, if you get like the perfect setup, it's still going to take a 2-hit KO with Horlucha, unless you reduce it with Bats. Oh, and this is not good at all, because Benji's only got a Zubat, and oh, he's only able to do 10 damage with the first attack for 1 energy. Had he had the Mega and another bench Pokemon and a Mega Turbo, he could actually have got the win on turn 1 there. So he gets a second Zubat, he plays a Korrina, presumably he's going to go for a Horlucha here, and I would like to see him go for a Horlucha and a Focus Sash. That would be a good... That's what I tend to do with my Donphan deck when I played it. Now, I know Tamao does play... I played Tamao earlier in this tournament, got absolutely smashed with my Donphan deck. Because Donphan has the same problem. And there we go. He has gone for the Horlucha Focus Sash like I suggested. Now, I know Tamao in his list... I did have a chat with Tamao about his list throughout the day. He does play 1 Startling Megaphone to get rid of that. But if he can't hit the Startling Megaphone, then that means Horlucha gets 2 hits on the Rayquaza, while the Rayquaza takes a single prize. Now, we see the Strong Energy is going to hit for 80. Remember, Horlucha's ability ignores weakness and resistance. So he does 60 damage plus the 20 for the Strong Energy. We have, however, seen that Tamao's deck is incredibly fast and consistent, so it is not inconceivable by any stretch of the imagination that he might hit the Muscle Band, that's not the Muscle Band, that's silly of me, that he might hit the Startling Megaphone this turn and get rid of the Focus Sash. And that's what Tamao really wants to do. He doesn't want to get a Mega EX up and then start getting free energy and a bench full of Pokemon to not KO a 70 HP basic. Now, he's again had to put 2 DCs down. He's really looking for the Mega. If he doesn't put the Mega, he is in great danger of that Rayquaza getting KO'd next turn. He's got 90 HP, so all it's going to take is a Fighting Stadium or a single Golbat for Benji to get the KO next turn. Now, if he Mega Evolves, it goes up to 220, which means he's got 140 HP left, and there comes a Winona, so he will get the Mega EX, as well as presumably a Shaman and a second Rayquaza. He could go for Swablu Altaria, but they're not needed in this matchup. Benji has no electric Pokemon. So he has gone for the Mega, he has gone for a second Rayquaza, and you would expect him to go for a Shaman here to draw some more cards. So yeah, he has gone for the free expected cards from Winona, and that's what you want to do in this deck. You want to be, he needs a Mega, he needs another Rayquaza so he's got a backup attacker if it does go down, and Shaman just gets you more cards. The only reason not to put a Shaman on the bench is if you're worried about it getting Lysandre up and KO'd, but that's not a huge problem because he's already got one on the bench. It doesn't really matter if there's a second. He also knows that for Hawlucha to KO a Shaman, then it's going to take to KO a Shaman, it's going to take Muscle Band and Strong Energy and Fighting Stadium. Although he can now put a Muscle Band on. One of the fun things about Focus Sash, if you would be KO'd, not only do you go down to 10 HP, but you actually get to discard the Focus Sash, so he can then put a Muscle Band on. Of course, what Benji doesn't want to do here is he doesn't want to just go straight ahead and start KOing the Shamans. Maybe for the last few prizes, what he really needs here is to take out the Rayquaza. And I like this play here because he's going to go for the Ultra Ball for the Shaman to basically draw some more cards and get going. Landorus in this matchup is garbage. He really doesn't want to go for it, especially with the Mr. Mime down. Without the Mr. Mime, you could make an argument that you want to be trying to get the bench damage on the Shamans, although it's not a great plan. But with Mr. Mime down to stop bench damage being done, there really is no reason to go for Landorus here. Benji is essentially playing Hawlucha Bats in this matchup. There's no point even trying to build up energy on a Landorus to use Land's Judgment, the second attack, which does 150 damage, because it's going to get Lysandre up and killed before you get a chance to do anything. So, that Rayquaza has essentially got 140 HP at this stage. Oh, that would have been lovely, but unfortunately not. Which means, now he's currently doing 80, which means he needs 60 more damage. If he can get a Muscle Band, Fighting Stadium, Golbat, that will get the KO. He can't now get a second Strong Energy. Or 2 Golbats and either Muscle Band or Fighting Stadium, but he's got neither. So he's just done 160 damage, which is a slight problem. However, this could work out beautifully. Now, it's not terribly likely, but if Benji can hit 3 Golbats next turn, and use each of those Golbat's abilities to do 20 damage to that Rayquaza, he can KO the Rayquaza and then hit whatever Tamao chooses to put into the active. So Benji is setting himself up quite nicely here. It's going to take a lot of effort, but Benji, he's got a chance here. It's not a great chance, but it's a chance. As Tamao is playing a Colress for 10, which is obviously incredibly powerful. He's going to get a lot of cards here. And he's got no bench space, but remember, he can play that Skyfield Stadium, which will allow him to have 3 more bench Pokemon, which could potentially lead to more Shamans. So he's doing all right at this stage. Benji, for his purposes, really needs to try and get the free Golbat KO, which is going to be a lot to ask for, but if he can get the free Golbat KO, then he can maybe use 2 or 3 Crobats to help him KO a Rayquaza with a Hawlucha, and then Lysandre up a Shaman off the bench for the last KO. It's going to be a lot of effort, but that's essentially Benji's route to win here. He needs to keep streaming Hawluchas, and he needs to try and get some Golbats and Crobats out. His best route to victory here really is getting 3 Golbats next turn to KO the Rayquaza. Now, Tamao is yet to have a second Rayquaza built up, and Tamao will have noticed that there is, although it's not a great chance, there is a slim chance that Benji is going to be able to get the KO here. And if I were Tamao, I wouldn't play a Skyfield. Because the more Skyfield, if he puts a Skyfield down, that allows Benji to be able to essentially, and he goes and gets the Mega there because he knows that if Benji KOs the active Rayquaza, the Mega, he's going to need essentially another Mega on the bench to try and make sure that Benji can't stream KOs. Now, if Tamao plays a Skyfield here, that's going to give Benji a bench space for a Shaman or whatever, and Benji needs, when his, and it's not an if, it's a when that Hawlucha goes down, Benji's going to have 1 bench space, and next turn he really wants a Shaman and a Hawlucha. Now, the counter argument, of course, is that Tamao needs to get set up. Oh, and this is a brilliant play from Tamao here. He's basically used Sky Return with Shaman to get the KO and put it back into his hand. There was an argument there of not putting the Skyfield down because he can KO anything without Skyfield, and now he's giving Benji more bench spaces to work with. We can assume that Benji plays 2 Shaman because that's standard in this deck. And I would like to essentially say to Benji, either you're not putting down a Hawlucha and you're going to need it for next turn, or you're not putting down a Shaman. He could here go for a 4th Zubat, 2nd Hawlucha, 2nd Shaman, and that's going to allow him to stream KOs. Although, Tamao's also put that Bunnelby active because he knows that Benji wants to get the win with 3. And there goes the Lysandre, so he's going to have to get the KO with the Hawlucha here, and that is a problem. And there goes the KO. In terms of the Skyfield play, you know, Tamao is, shall we say, a more decorated player than I. Probably a better player, if we're honest. I don't disagree with him putting the Skyfield down. I would like to see him not play the Skyfield just to limit Benji's options, given that essentially Benji's best chance of winning was to really start streaming bats and Hawluchas. Having said all of that, Tamao's in a great position, he's miles ahead, and he needed to start getting a second Rayquaza set up, which was going to involve him needing to draw cards, which meant he needed to play a Shaman down, which means he needed a Skyfield. Although if he was going to Sky Return, maybe don't play the Skyfield, Sky Return, and then you've freed up a bench space for the following turn. I'm not saying by any stretch that it is an incorrect play. Like I tend to do on these videos, I'm just pointing out an alternate route down which he could have gone. I'm not saying that he should have. So Benji here, he's essentially lost that excellent play where he gets a KO with Crobats. What he needs to do here is essentially ignore the Bunnelby, if at all possible, and go for the Crobats. Now remember, for a single energy, Crobat does... Oh, but then they damage the bench and Mr. Mime's out, so we can't even hit the bench with a Crobat. So there goes that plan. So there he goes for the Hawlucha, and again, he's going to have the bench space for it thanks to that Skyfield. If it weren't for the Skyfield, he wouldn't be able to put down that second Hawlucha. Although if you are watching this, Tamao, and you're sitting there, you know, shouting at the screen, I do apologise if I'm sounding like a moron right now. I stand by what I'm saying. What he needs to do here is get those Golbats out. Now remember, Golbat goes, it's placing damage counters, not doing bench damage. So it goes around the Mr. Mime. And he needs to start going after that Rayquaza. He needs to be able to kill that Rayquaza. Now if he can keep Tamao knocking out Hawluchas, and I mean finding a Focus Sash here would be huge. If he could keep Tamao, you know, 1-hit KOing those Hawluchas or 2-hit KOing with the Focus Sash, that's going to be incredibly useful in terms of being able to take out those Rayquazas, and then in theory getting his last KO off a Shaman that he's pulling up with a Lysandre. Now, a lovely play from Benji here. He's basically forcing Tamao, as he plays a computer search, he's forcing Tamao to get that Bunnelby out of the active, either by wasting an energy or by using a switch. And we see there that Tamao's playing a Lysandre, which is going to pull up the Hawlucha, the one with the strong energy, to try and he's got the switch as well, and this is this is damaging for Benji. There's no Focus Sash. The Hawlucha goes down here. And more importantly, I mean, he's only got a finite number of Hawluchas. Now, I assume he's playing 4. But they are starting to drop. I believe that's the third. I think he lost 2 Hawluchas taking out the first Rayquaza. Or it might be it's 2 or 3 gone down. I forget exactly how many. But I don't think he's playing any Pokemon Recovery. Most of these decks don't. So, and there goes the Crobat to do 30 damage to the Rayquaza. But he really is in a race against time here. I wish I could see how many prizes are left. I think Tamao's got 4 prizes left, but it's hard to see here. So, now he's going to be a Korrina or a Lysandre. I'd like to see him Lysandre up the Bunnelby or the Mr. Mime and force Tamao to have a switch or to waste an energy. But then that isn't the best use of a VS Seeker. He's going to need a Hawlucha here if he's got another one in his deck. And, I mean, maybe a Professor's Letter to get some energy if he's got one, or else a Focus Sash to put on that Hawlucha. One thing that Tamao tends to do, as a lot of decks do, a lot of players do, he's playing 2 Lysandre and 4 VS Seeker. So he's got 6 of them. And as I found out to my peril when I played him with my Donphan deck at this very tournament, unfortunately, unfortunately for his opponent, he is able to Lysandre on most of the turns that he wants to, and that is worrying. So a roundabout move from Benji there. He's actually gone the VS Seeker for the Korrina for the Landorus and Ultra Ball, use the Ultra Ball discarding the Landorus and then a Fighting Energy, so that he can get a Shaman and play it to draw a few more cards. If it's what you got to do. Now that Hawlucha is now hitting for 100. It's not enough. Now it looks like that Rayquaza's got... Is that 40 damage on? I thought I had 20 just from the single Golbat. No, it's 50 damage, sorry, because there was a Crobat and the Golbat. So he's down to 170. Now, Benji would like that Fighting Stadium, but unfortunately, because that Fighting Stadium would add another 20 damage, and it would actually even allow him to discard some of those weak EXs off his bench. He's gotten to the stage now where Tamao can just Lysandre up the Shaman and the Jirachi and get the win. Had he put the Fighting Stadium down, not only is he doing 20 more damage, but he's also... It'll allow him to discard a Shaman and a Jirachi, making Tamao's win condition harder, so there's only one of those weak EXs on his bench. But then again, it might be that he really needed that. Now, he does 20 damage, but again, the Fighting Stadium would also have given him an extra 20 damage. So I'm not sure how much I agree with that. I would like to have seen him play the Fighting Stadium. It would have, like I say, it would have allowed him to clear his bench a little bit from those weak EXs, as well as allowing him to do 20 extra damage with Hawlucha. But that is, of course, assuming that he wants to attack with Hawlucha this turn. He might just want to keep the Crobat or something like that active. Now, is he like a repeat ball he's got in hand? So he is attacking with a Hawlucha, so I would have preferred the Fighting Stadium. Unless he's got another one in hand, of course. And he has got a Fighting Stadium in hand. And he is getting rid of the Shaman. And, no, my apologies, he only gets to get rid of one. It doesn't really matter. In most matchups, you'd be better off getting rid of the Jirachi just because it's got less HP. But it makes no difference when Tamao's KOing both of them easily anyway. Now, it's a terrible shame he didn't find the Focus Sash there. Because had he found the Focus Sash, this Hawlucha would probably have survived this turn, although Tamao hasn't used, I don't believe, he's used his startling Megaphone yet. So Skyfield comes down straight away, and another Shaman comes down to draw a couple more cards. I also would love to have seen him get a Golbat last turn, because as it stands at the moment... No, the Golbat isn't all that interesting. Now... Sorry, I'm working through a lot of things here. Essentially, that Rayquaza's got 170 damage, which means it's got 50 HP left. Which means if Benji can hit a Golbat to go on the Zubat and a Crobat to go on the Golbat, he's going to be able to put 50 damage on that Rayquaza, which will be enough for the KO. So there is a possibility here that once again, Benji can get the KO in the middle of the turn on that active Rayquaza using his bats. He would then be able to just Lysandre up a single Shaman and get the KO, but that's assuming, of course, that he's got a Hawlucha and a Strong Energy and a Muscle Band and a Fighting Stadium, which at this stage of the game, with a few Hawluchas going down, is a lot to ask for. So Tamao there, he has got the Spirit Link, he's got the Mega Rayquaza. I think we've seen him use 3 DCEs, but it looks like he's got one in his hand there. So that means next turn, even if the Rayquaza goes down, he is going to have another Mega Rayquaza ready to go. And we've seen how much it takes for these fighting Bats decks to actually try and take down those Mega Rayquazas. It's possible, it can be done, but it takes an awful lot of resources to do so. And, you know, Benji's, I think he's doing as well as he can here, but we got to face the reality that Tamao is a massive favourite in this game. He takes down another Hawlucha. Now he is down to 3 prizes, so that must be 3 Hawlucha down. So we've got to imagine Benji's got 1 Hawlucha left. Oh no, he does play Sacred Ash, which is excellent, and you see there. So now, and like I said, on the previous turn, it didn't really matter whether he got rid of Shaman or Jirachi. I didn't realise he had a Sacred Ash. Although he might have played it in the previous game and I'd just forgotten. In which case, discarding the Shaman off of when he had to discard something when he put Fighting Stadium down to replace the Skyfield, was absolutely the better thing to do, because now he's going to want to get that Shaman, and you see he played the repeat ball to get that Shaman straight back out again. Now he gets to draw 5 cards, and he's got an Ultra Ball, and he's got a Korrina. This is looking nice. He needs the Golbat and the Crobat to get the KO on this Rayquaza, and that will be absolutely huge. And it looks like he's got a Muscle Band, but and as excited as I'm getting here, because I want Benji to win this game, not because I hate Tamao. Tamao's a lovely chap, because I like seeing the underdog win, and Tamao's 1 game up. I want a game 3, just because I enjoy commentating these games, and this is unfortunately the last round of the tournament. But really here, now Benji could win this turn with a Golbat, Crobat, Hawlucha, Strong Energy, Muscle Band, Fighting Stadium, Lysandre. If he's got all of those things, he'll get the win. Of course, he doesn't have enough cards now, and we can see that both his Shaman are on the field, so it's not happening. But what he needs here, I don't think he's played a supporter this turn. I could be wrong. What he really needs to do here is basically get the bats, get the KO on Rayquaza. Tamao is not going to put a Shaman active. And ideally here, what he would actually do is not bench the Hawlucha this turn. Because if he benches the Hawlucha, Tamao can get rid of it. Or indeed not. And there goes the Crobat, and he's got the KO. Now, Benji needs to be very careful here. If he just benches a Hawlucha, Tamao's going to probably Lysandre it up and kill it. So what he needs to do is set himself up so that next turn he's got Lysandre KO on the Shaman, and then he's going to be alright. Now, remember, if he finds another Crobat, he uses Crobat to hit the Shaman, and that brings him down to 80 HP, which means he needs a Strong Energy or a Muscle Band or a Fighting Stadium to get the KO. So what Benji really needs here is a Hawlucha and a Lysandre. That's absolutely key. And then it's either Strong Energy, Fighting Stadium, Muscle Band, or Crobat, Strong Energy, or Crobat, regular energy, and either Muscle Band or Fighting Stadium. I'm sorry if that sounds a little bit complicated, but they are the permutations for Benji to win this game at this stage. He's taken down 2 Mega Rayquaza EXs, which, as we've seen, is not an easy task to accomplish. But I'm not 100% certain. In fact, I'm not liking his odds of taking down that Rayquaza. You notice that he's essentially down to 1 Golbat, one Crobat. In the next couple of turns, he's going to be able to do 30 damage with it. That's the best he can really hope for. Now there goes the end, and he puts the muscle band on the Crobat. Now I know why he's doing that. He's doing that so that he's got less cards in his deck to maximise the chances of drawing the cards he wants to off the end to 2. But that muscle band will be key, because I really don't think he's going to win this game without... Oh, there goes... Oh, there's a Tails on the scoop up. That is gutting. And another super scoop. He needs the heads here. Oh, and he's got the heads. Now he gets to Shaman for 6. That is beautiful. And remember, had he not put the muscle band on the Crobat, maybe he draws super scoop up muscle band, hits the Tails and it turns over. And he's got another muscle band there. Now, we've seen him play the end. He's not going to Lysandre this turn, but there's a chance that he might next turn. Because once again, he's not getting the KO on that Rayquaza. I would be stunned if he did. Now, Tamao's got 3 prizes left. Benji's got I would not bench that. Although, actually, it doesn't really make a difference. No, I'm fine with that in the end. No, I take that back. I was thinking, what happens if Tamao drags it active and tries to strand it in the active, but if he pulls it active, he's going to kill it for 2 prizes, and that won't get him to win anyway. So no, that benching that Landorus turned out to be irrelevant. There goes the Fighting Stadium, and he's discarding the low-level EXs, as you would expect him to. If he's got more super scoop-ups, worth keeping a Shaman on the field, just so you can try and scoop it up later. So, Tamao here. Now, I didn't see what else he discarded when the Fighting Stadium came down. It could have been... It might have been a bat of some kind. I might be wrong about that. No, I don't think it... No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't, because there's 4 bats on the field. So it was a Shaman and a Jirachi. So, yeah, it would be nice if he could completely clear his field of the X's, but clearly that's not happening. So Tamao there, I believe that was a VS Seeker for a Juniper, get a new hand of 7. Benji's on the clock here. That Crobat is going down this turn. Tamao's hitting for a... Oh no, has he got 3 energy on there or just the 1? He might only have 1 energy. I don't know if it's stacked weirdly or he's only got the 1 energy on that Rayquaza. If Tamao gets the attack off here, he KOs the Crobat and then he's just Lysandre next turn for the win, killing the Shaman or the or if he gets a Skyfall and a couple more Pokemon, 1 more Pokemon, then he gets a KO on the Landorus. Okay, there we go. So we see a pair of Mega Turbo there coming after a Battle Compressor to make sure he's got enough energy in a discard pile. Now he's got the free energy. And although Benji can't guarantee that Tamao's got the win next turn, he probably does. So this is what it comes down to. Benji's got to kill something this turn, and it's essentially got to be a Shaman. The reason he wants Hawlucha rather than Landorus is that Hawlucha's got that ability that goes through resistance. Landorus, as a base, is doing 10 to a Shaman. Now, he could do as much as 50 damage here with bats if he gets a Crobat and a Golbat, which would bring Shaman down to 60 HP. But he would still then need Strong Energy, Muscle Band, Fighting Stadium. Oh, and there is the Hawlucha, so now it's a moot point. There is the Muscle Band. And there's an N. He doesn't have any energy. This is dodgy territory for Benji right about now. Now, as it turns out, that Mr. Mime for Tamao, although the Landorus wasn't a good play, has been absolutely huge, because there are turns when Benji could have essentially used... I can't see what's in his hand. It looks like he's got a scoop-up Cyclone? Is that his ace spec? Is it a scoop-up Cyclone? It is a scoop-up Cyclone! Now he gets to Shaman for 5, and he's... Oh, that was a beautiful play by Benji there. Oh, no, it wasn't a beautiful play by Benji. No, that was a bad play from Benji. Sorry, Benji. Because essentially, what it meant was that Tamao couldn't Lysandre up and kill the Shaman, but he could get the Landorus anyway. But it was a moot point. Benji wasn't getting the KO, so even if he had played the Shaman, he'd draw a bunch of cards, and Tamao could have got the KO or end him. So not playing the Shaman down was the correct play there. It was the best thing to do, I do believe that. It was just Benji was in an awkward position there, because he essentially, if he plays down the Shaman, he's not got the win this turn, so why bother? If he plays down the Shaman, then he can get end and he loses all the cards he drew. And if Tamao had a Lysandre, he wins the game anyway on the Landorus. And, of course, he needed a Skyfield in order to have enough bench Pokemon to KO the Landorus. Whereas, had Benji played down the Shaymin, then Tamao would just have been able to Lysandre up and kill the Shaymin. So Benji did make the best play at the end there. It was just he was in an impossible position. But I think kudos to that gentleman for making it as close as he did. And thank you to you lovely people for watching this video. I very much appreciate it as always. Comments in the comment section down below. Tell me if you agree or disagree with that thing I said about Skyfield. Any questions you've got, things of that nature. I'll be back with more videos soon. We've actually got a couple league challenges, which I've had for a couple of weeks now and not been able to get up on my channel due to time reasons, that were from before Roaring Skies came out. So it's going to be a little bit of a history lesson coming up soon. Thank you very much for watching. Like this video. Just take a second. It takes a second. Click that like button, people. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Get a friend to subscribe if you have. Get another friend to subscribe if you've already got a friend to subscribe. And I will see you lovely people for more Pokemon content in the very near future. Look after yourselves till then.